And now let's go back to our top story of the representation Jaishankar ji made at the SCO Summit in Islamabad. We're joined by Anil Kumar Trigunayat. Trigunayat ji is a former senior Indian diplomat. Welcome, sir, to the program. So first of all, briefly, what is the political, economic and security significance of this SCO grouping for its member countries? And what is the significance of this particular summit, especially as regards India?
Well, as you're aware, that Shanghai Cooperation Organization has been there since 2001 and even before for the China plus 5 Central Asian countries. And India joined along with Pakistan in 2017. And last year, under India's presidency, we saw Iran joining this. So today, we have 10 member countries and some other observers, dialogue partners, and others. This is a security organization, of which the major remit is to counter terrorism. And for that reason, they also have the RETS infrastructure in which various countries participate and contribute to countering terrorism. But ironically, we also know that there are some member countries who have been not only indulging in cross-border terrorism, but are also pandering to a large number of terrorist groups on their territory, which is being used against India. And the others are supporting them. And so this visit, which is important, has acquired a little more importance in the sense because it is being held in Islamabad, with which our relationship today is at its lowest. And that is also because of the continued persistence of Pakistan's policy of cross-border terrorism and using it as an instrument of their foreign policy towards India, unremittingly. So what Dr. Jaishankar did was he called out what you mentioned is the three evils, that is, we need to be together in combating terrorism, separatism, and extremism, because they're hurting everyone. But then there are countries. So he definitely said that we cannot singularly decide whether one country can be exempted from it. That's simple. So you are part of the SCO, then must follow the SCO charter. Whether it is connectivity, whether it is energy security, whether it is food security, whether it is overall changing dynamic in the world and how to confront them by the member countries. There are important countries in this. There are biggest consumers of oil. There are biggest consumers of producers also part of it. So therefore, it is a very, very important organization. At the same time, it has been hijacked by certain countries for their own objectives, bilateral objectives. And the bilateral issues are generally not raised in this, but they have been mentioned indirectly. And we have seen that Dr. Jaishankar was very forceful and very clearly he articulated India's concerns that if these continue, then nothing else can follow.
So one of the goals that of the SCO that External Affairs Minister Jaishankar emphasized was to strengthen mutual trust, friendship and good neighborliness among member states. So what are the impediments in the way and what is required to solve them?
That is duplicity and double standard. That's the problem. The problem is that, I can tell you that Pakistan has been indulging in the last 4 decades. And I remember I used to be in Russia at the time when one of the media, Russian media asked me that Pakistan has applied for membership of the SCO. At that time, I remember telling them, I said, I have no comment if an organization that claims to be fighting against terrorism wants to include a country which is a sponsor of terrorism. Now, that has come true because of the geopolitics of it. But at the same time, it is also incumbent upon all the member countries to call it out, to try to tell them to prevent it, to stop it, because this is not going to lead them anywhere or the organization anywhere. That is very important. So how do you build the trust? How do you build cooperative leadership? You may continue to work on various issues, but at the same time, the fundamental issues need to be addressed. And that is, number one, impinging on sovereignty of the others. We have seen the China-Pakistan economic corridor, or for that matter, China also putting a hold on designating the terrorist at the United Nations Security Council Committee 1373 or 1267. That has been repeatedly happening. Pakistan continued to let large number of terrorist groups operate from its territory. Now, those are the things that are not something that has grown today, but those need to be contended. And they cannot be if you allow a country to go scot-free all the time. So that is the biggest problem with these organizations.
Dr. Jaishankar also spoke of the need to develop multifaceted cooperation, especially regional cooperation. What would you call, sir, the priority areas for cooperation here?
Well, there are a couple of things. Number one is we have a RETS infrastructure in this, fighting terrorism, in which all countries have been participating, developing strategies, and I'm told that several of the incidents were averted by them. The secondly, we get connectivity is extremely important. This also can't be a pick and choose thing. You remember that when we wanted to send relief supplies of wheat through Pakistan to Afghanistan, it was delayed. It was very difficult to do so. So we had to identify new areas through Chabhar. So that is also extremely important. Then health security, the food security, and energy security. These are very real issues that are confronting all members of the region. Apart from the impact of the ongoing wars, and one of the member, Iran, actually directly is in the line there, engaged in this war, one way or the other. So these are all the key issues which are going to have impact the overall outcome of the welfare of the member states.
Two other areas that the External Affairs Minister emphasized in his address were globalization and rebalancing, and the need to harness the opportunities that they have thrown up in terms of trade, investment, connectivity and energy flows. How can all this be taken forward?
Well, what I said is that, there are several challenges, global challenges, and what he also referred to what you just mentioned. There are deglobalization is also happening simultaneously. I mean, when we are seeing protectionism is increasing from several countries, including from the West, and there is a more and more divisive nature of the global world that is coming out. It is a fractured world at the moment. Now, what kind of opportunities are emerging out of that? That opportunities come in the sense of the regional collaborations. We are seeing many of the multilateral groupings coming out, plurilateral groupings coming out, like the BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or for that matter, the Quad and others, in which India is a part. There are free trade agreements that are coming up. So those are the issues that need to be worked upon. We are talking of pipelines from Central Asia through Iran, Pakistan, but that have not happened because of the trust deficit, because of the kind of things that have moved along. So these are the issues that need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed in all sincerity. Only then the trust can be built up. And that's when the big powers of the region can work together more closely and effectively.
And finally, sir, the External Affairs Minister also noted the need for reforming the UN Security Council to ensure proper representation of the developing countries and for the SCO to lead the way in such a change. So what role can SCO play here, and do you see a long road ahead in this matter?
Well, it is right to talk about it, that they should be part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, who are we talking about? We are talking about expansion of the Security Council. Who is the impediment in the expansion of the Security Council? China, which is a member of the P5, which veto-wielding power. All the other four countries have openly not only promoted the reforms, but have also advocated India's place in it. They knowing too well that China is going to veto it or not be not so soon. It is going to support that also. So what Dr. Jaishankar has said is, he has told that this is an urgency. Then the countries will have to review their stand. Then only the SCO as a major grouping can contribute, because there are at least two Security Council members who are part of this, China and Russia, who are the permanent members and who are the members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So it is absolutely right that they recognize that the global governance is in crisis. The multinational institutions, multilateral institutions are in a complete disarray. And that is impacting the whole world. And that's why it is important that the reforms take place. It is important that we help in the smooth functioning of those organizations, which should be strengthened through expansion.
Okay, we leave it here. Thank you very much, Anil Trigunayaji, for joining us and sharing valuable insights on the subject of SCO.